Here we have verse 52 of the 6th chapter of the Gospel of John. Jesus, continuing what's commonly called the Bread of Life discourse, has just astonished those who were listening to him when he has said in the previous verse that if a person would eat his flesh, that person would thereby gain eternal life. And of course, in the immediacy of the moment, they probably had no idea what in the world he was saying, and in fact, the very concept of eating his flesh would have been quite offensive to them as Jewish people, who would, of course, never contemplate eating the flesh of a human being. And so we can understand that they were a little bit put off by this, not really understanding or appreciating the sacramental significance of what he was saying. And so we continue the thought here in verse 52, emachanto. This is from makomai. It means to engage in war. It actually literally means to make war. It's a very strong word. You may recall that earlier in this chapter we had the word gongudzo, which meant to murmur or complain. This is a considerably stronger word, and it has to do with an actual outright strife. Interestingly, not striving or arguing with Jesus, but as we see it continuing, and postpositive conjunction, they were striving, therefore, pros allelus. Allelus is the pronoun. It means to one another. Pros allelus, suggesting a kind of energetic controversy going on among them, between them, as they're arguing about this. Those who were in this argument are denominated as the hoi udaioi, the Jews. And so the Jews were arguing among themselves, saying, legontes, from lego, I say. This is the present active participle, nominative plural, masculine. So the Jews were arguing among themselves, saying, pos, adverse, how, usually introduces a question, how, dunetai. This is from dunamai, I am able. It's the third person singular, present active indicative. How is he able? Hutos, this one. How is this one able? Humen, the dative pronoun. This is the first person plural. How is this one able? To us. Dunai. This is from didomi, means to give. This is the aorist active infinitive. So how is this one able to give to us? Tain sarka, the flesh. This is in some manuscripts autu, give his flesh, and then another infinitive here, to eat. How is he able to give his flesh to us to eat? They're asking, of course, the obvious question. How in the world is it conceivable that this one is going to give us his flesh to eat, let alone the question of how eating that flesh would somehow lead to life eternal? We can understand they being mystified by this, but of course from the perspective of where the New Testament eventually takes the redemptive story, we have a better understanding that Jesus is speaking here in a sacramental sense, and that in some deep sense, anytime we come to the Eucharist, we are eating his flesh, drinking his blood, and as we do so in faith, we are confirming the great benefit that he's guaranteed to us, which is in fact expressed even in these words to these people.